Hi, I'm Bex. This is my face. Welcome back to my channel. Today, I have for you a treat. What am I even doing? I have an artwork. This was a train wreck, and I'm gonna show you the process of making it and absolutely everything that went wrong. So let's get into it. So first things first, I sketched everything out ahead of time, and I didn't use a reference because I thought, I've drawn plants before, why would I need to use a reference? That was mistake number one. Mistake number two is I decided to go in with a brush pen that I have never used before in my life. I was very uncomfortable. It just didn't work the way some of my other brush pens do, and so I was anxious, I wasn't making bold lines, and now brings us to this monstrosity. I didn't wait for it to dry before I started erasing. I saw that it was smearing, and I just kept on because that makes sense. Cool. So then I went in with my colors, and I'm using my favorite color palette, like a gold color, a pastel pink, and then like this tealy bluish green color. It's at this point I realized that even though the ink in the outline is dry, the ink from the markers is reactivating it and it is smearing all over the place, which is making this 1,000 times harder. Should I have checked that they worked well together beforehand? Probably, but did I? Absolutely not. And it's right around this point that I really start to not care and realize that all the places where I put these little holes in the leaves are really getting in the way from having a nice streak-free coloring experience. Because again, I didn't use a reference. I don't even know if I put those things in the right places. I don't know if I don't know. I just don't even know. So at this point is where I start giving up and I just don't care anymore. I just don't care. So I just scribble it all in because why not? Look at that streaky mess. So despite all the streaks and my apparent just not caring anymore, I just want to get the color on there, I start to think to myself, you know, like this is looking okay so far. It's not an absolute disaster. It's going okay. I like the color. It ended up being a good choice. I'm happy with it. Just getting the color down, and it'll improve once I get my shadows on there and my highlights. So now it's time to fill in the pot color with that pink, and I realize the area is too big, so I'm just going to scribble it in because this has been a disaster already, and you can tell how little I care with the violent
force of how much I'm just scribbling.
I just don't care. I just don't care at this point.
Let's make it worse.
The struggle is real, y'all. So at this point, I'm going in with my shadows. Now let's remember that I didn't use a reference picture, so I have no idea where my shadows actually need to go. Oh, I regret that. I regret that so much. Oh no. I've not taken the time to figure out where my light source is coming from, so I'm just placing shadows willy-nilly, wherever, just wherever. And I'm realizing as I'm placing these shadows that it doesn't make sense. It just doesn't make sense because halfway through I realized, you know, where's my light source coming from? None of this makes sense. So then I realized I don't care. This is a disaster anyway. This is a train wreck. I just don't care. Like this. What am I doing here? Even watching this back, I am so baffled by why I put the shadows where I did. Again, this all could have been avoided if I had
used a reference.
So now I go in with an even darker color to really accentuate the shadows that don't make sense. And again, there's no rhyme or reason to where I'm putting things, where I'm putting them. So now I'm realizing, okay, I need to figure out where my light source is coming from, at least so I can make the shadows on the pot make sense. And here's where I realize I did that entirely incorrectly. Even after trying to take the time to figure out where my shadow would be, I still feel like I put it in the wrong spot. But this is also me not caring at all. I'm just ready for this stupid piece of art to be done. I am so frustrated at this point. highlights because could it get worse?
I think it could.
And yes, it could. Because just like there was no rhyme or reason to where I was putting those shadows, there was no rhyme or reason to where I was putting the highlights. Because again, I hadn't given any thought to where my light source was coming from, so how would I know where to put my highlights? So just, throw them on there anywhere. Just sprinkle them around and add one big shadow on the bottom. That also makes no sense at all, so there's that. How violently my camera shakes is indicative of how frustrated I am with this picture. Oh, yep, really doubling down on those shadows here. Trainwreck is finally over. I quit. I'm done. Let's sign it, even though I don't want to.
This is stupid.
And that's it. That's how I created this masterpiece. Sarcasm. I learned a lot, mostly use a reference. Who'd have thought? Take your time and maybe make sure your supplies work together. Why don't I have common sense? And then maybe next time, I think when I use these particular supplies, I may work on a smaller scale to avoid streaks. If you want to see more videos like this and see more of the
Train wrecks
in my life and in my art, make sure you hit the subscribe button below and click the bell icon so you get notified when I post. I try to be here at least once a week. That's it. I'll see you next time. Bye. Don't look at me like that.